And of course, then that leads us to evolutionary religion, right? So Darwinism is not only the version of evolution on the market. It's not the only one. Most alternative theories are even more overtly religious. She talks to us about biologist Stuart Kaufman, who is well known for his theory of self-organization, but he does not regard it as merely another scientific theory. It is a, quote, new world view, he tells us, right? With a new view of God, not as transcendent, not as agent, but as the very creativity of the universe itself. Whoa, right?
So pantheism.
Yeah, right. That's basically what he's saying, right? He treats God as a word for the ceaseless flux of the universe. He says that God is enough for him. So the question she asks is, then why even retain the word God, right? Which, connotes this transcendence and caring, intelligent person. He precisely to smuggle in the emotional power to connect the term. She says Kaufman is open about his intentions, right? He tells us, what do we gain by using the God word? I suspect a great deal, for the word carries with it awe and reverence. So he knows what he's doing here, right?
It reminds me of the debate that William Lane Craig had with a skeptic who kept ascribing qualities of God to a computer. And he got so far along that Craig would counterpoints and say, well, if you don't have this, then you have this. And then you were like, well, then you have this. And then, if you don't have this, then you have this. Well, then you're missing out on this. Okay, what if I have all those qualities? He goes, well, then we're just having a fight on the name, because what you just subscribed is the biblical Christian God. And he was like, oh, well, and of course, applause all around.
But the cause hasn't got to be God. Well, remember I gave an argument for thinking that this cause is timeless, spaceless, immaterial, enormously powerful, and personal.
I think it's a computer.
Well, that wouldn't, computers are designed by people.
No, this is a self-designing computer.
Timeless.
Timeless.
Well, that's a contradiction in terms.
Why is it time? What's contradictory about it?
A computer has to function. It takes time.
No, this is a special computer.
Yeah, but it has to be logically coherent.
Oh, it's logically coherent?
Yes, you have to be logically coherent.
Oh, no, this computer is amazing.
No, besides, it would have to be, as I said, a personal being.
No.
A computer is a physical
Not this computer.
object.
Oh,
well, then,
no.
Okay, see, what you're doing is what you're calling a computer is really God. A non-physical,
So Kaufman, she says, hopes to inspire people to respond emotionally to a purely materialistic universe, and here it is, as if it were the personal God of the Bible. He is another freeloader.
Our flashing light of reductionism.
Right. She talks about Jeremy Rifkin, who promotes a quasi-pantheistic version of evolution. He envisions evolution as a process whereby an immanent mind evolved up the ladder, the great chain of being. Right, so and evolution is no longer viewed as a mindless affair. Quite the opposite. It is mind enlarging its domain up the chain of the species. So in these words, we hear echoes of Hegel's concept of the absolute mind, right? Evolving up through the history. Rifkin goes on. One eventually winds up with the idea of the universe as a mind that oversees, orchestrates, and gives order and structure to all things. So notice he's suggesting you got to have this concept in order to explain what's going on, right? Where did it come from? Why do you have to have this concept in order to explain what's going on? Why do you right? What is?
And you see this within science fiction. I mean, you have man start out and then they reach towards the stars and they find the obelisk, and from there they become the star child, and until they're pure mind and energy and this transcendent idea of what humanity should be going towards. Just complete mind. So no material, just mind.
That's right. All right. She says, what are the implications of this pantheistic model of evolution? Well, she says, most obviously, it eliminates a transcendent creator, which Rifkin takes to be a good thing. For it means that we no longer feel ourselves to be guests in someone else's home, right? Therefore, we no longer feel obligated to make our behavior conform to with a set of pre-existing cosmic rules.
Yeah, so we're no longer the creature.
Right. We are the creator, right? We're the architects of the universe. It's us. We put it together. We determine it, right? We're responsible for nothing outside of ourselves, for we are the kingdom, the power, the glory forever and ever, Rifkin tells us. Wow.
And then God comes along and says, whoa, hold on. You get your own dirt.
Yeah. So notice she says that recognizing the religious nature of secular worldviews creates a level playing field. So here's the apologetic application here, right? It undermines the pretensions of secularists to religious neutrality, which they use to claim superiority over religion. They claim to be objective and fact-based while discrediting religious as biased and faith-based. Yet no worldview is neutral, not even atheism or secularism. Right? And so so notice what drives these religious variants of evolution is a sense that there must be more to reality than the flat, one-dimensional vision offered by their materialism. Evolutionists are reaching out for higher dimensions to answer the human longing for greater meaning to life. Those longings are more expressions of general revelations. They are signposts, right, pointing to the biblical God.
Right, which is the whole point of what we're trying to do at this point.
Yeah.